Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 70, where I was black and I played the French defense against e4. So let's check this out. All the normal moves here, and now knight d2. Knight d2, second most common move, the Tarrasch defense, after knight c3, classical e5 the advance, or e takes d5 the exchange variation. There's a number of ways that black has to deal with the Tarrasch. I played c5, which is the most common move. There's also knight f6, just challenging this e-pawn and encouraging it to move forward. Or d takes e4. And d takes e4 is an interesting idea. This is the Rubinstein French, and it works against either knight d2 or knight c3, so it's sort of an economical defense if you want to learn just one way to respond to a couple of different replies from white. But I play c5, which is the main move here. And it looks like there's other interesting and playable moves here, bishop e7 and knight c6. But c5, just undermining the center, is logical. Knight g f3 was played. He could take, maybe that's the most popular way to play, which would give black an isolated queen's pawn. Knight c6. Then he played c3, a bit unusual. You can see the computer doesn't think it's the best move here. It likes e takes d5, which is the most common move here, but it seems like bishop b5 is also a move here as well. But we're wandering out of the opening book here, so let's go ahead and look at the notation page. And you'll see that the computer thinks this is about even now, so I guess I'm more or less equalized, but well, gives white still some opening advantage here. But I'm just doing the normal sort of development here. Maybe queen b6 was not the most accurate. It thinks maybe castling or f6. Castle and then f6, probably best way to play it. But developing the queen out here is a typical idea, putting more pressure on the d-pawn and also on the b-pawn in case this bishop on c1 ever moves. So he decides to defend the d-pawn, and then I castle. Bishop e3. And still think this is okay, maybe some opening advantage for white, but certainly should be a playable opening. But I start to go wrong right here. So I guess just moving the bishop out of the way of the knight is some idea here. There's also ideas of bishop b4 or knight b4, putting piece on these squares. Anyway, yeah, I played the move a4. With the idea of a5, trying to dislodge this knight and maybe disrupt his defense of the center. But he has an interesting tactic here that I didn't see it. Maybe this is not one that's easy to see. I looked at this before, so but let's show you here. Knight takes d7. Knight takes. Queen to g4, attacking this pawn on e6, which is not so easy to defend. For example, if this knight moves, well, this knight has no squares it can go to defend the pawn from, and if this knight goes down here to defend the pawn, then the rook is hanging. So rook f6 is a recommended way of defending. And then he can play this move bishop to d2, which is a double attack. The bishop is on d2, sorry. The bishop on d2 is attacking that pawn along with the knight. And the rook and the queen are attacking this pawn. So this pawn is hanging. It's only defended once. And this pawn is hanging too, because even though the queen and the rook appear to be defending it, this knight, queen and knight appear to be defending it. This knight is actually pinned. This rook is hanging. So if knight takes, then rook takes, rook check. So I can only defend one of these pawns. The computer recommends knight f8, rook cf8. Well, that's an idea. Rook cf8 would unpin the knight, and then he could play bishop to g5. Yeah, this looks pretty strong for him. The other way of defending is knight f8, which it prefers after looking at it a little bit deeper, but then that just gives up this pawn over here. So I'm just in trouble after a5. But he has to play these particular moves. The knight takes d7 and the queen to g4, key elements of this idea. So just undermining this bishop, removing this bishop, which is a key defender of my position. He played a3, and I continue on with a4, so we're back in the range of about even, and now I make another mistake, which is similar to the last one. Basically, it just leaves his pawn undefended. So after he can take my bishop, which he did, and then instead of playing queen h5, as in the game, he can exchange rooks here, and then grab the pawn with the queen, and just be a pawn up. So he let me off the hook on those two moves, although the first one I have to say is probably too deep a combination to see in a blitz game. But this one, that pawn is just hanging. It's pretty easy to see that. Queen h5, though, a good attacking move, and you see he still has an advantage. So knight f6, I'm defending okay. Queen h3, maintaining the attack, exchanging rooks, and then taking on b2. The computer approves of that move. It is a bit risky, leaving the queen side, but you're trying to develop some counter chances, basically. If you just slavishly defend, you can sometimes get in trouble because your pieces get forced into unnatural squares. So he continues with knight f3, and now it thinks queen takes a3 is good, so I played that. And then he went queen e6 check. Oh, if we back up for a second, looks like the computer changed its mind. Yeah. Okay, so it sees that I'm already losing here. Yeah, after queen takes a3, continuing with knight e5, I guess, is a strong move. Yeah, it looks like a good square for the knight and probably supports some more attacking ideas. Knight e5, queen d6, bishop d2, hitting this knight. Interesting. So if queen takes a3 is not good. Yeah, so I'm already in trouble. Let's back up here. Knight f3. So queen takes b2 is not the right. Okay. So it's just a matter of seeing deep enough. It's one of those moves you have an intuitive feel that it might be dangerous. Queen takes b2 because you're getting away. So after the computer has had time to reconsider, turns out I need to play a defensive move like rook e8. What does that do? Or bishop to d8. Well, rook e8. Just g3, knight f3, yeah, knight f3 coming forward, and bishop to d8, maybe defending this knight. Okay, these are peculiar moves that only a computer could find. It's not clear why they're the most effective moves at defending. Anyway, so I tried an active defense with queen takes b2, and after queen takes a3, he followed up with queen takes e6 check. Which looked like a pretty strong move to me. I would have had second thoughts about taking on a3 if I had seen that coming, b2 and a3. But the computer thinks it's just good for a draw here, which is pretty interesting. So king h8, and then knight e5, all the best moves. Queen d6. Here's the way to draw. So queen d6 finally gives away the game here, and I don't ever get a chance to get it back after that. But knight c6, it looks like, can still hold a draw. And this was pretty interesting. Bishop f1. First of all, what happens if he just plays knight f7 check? You play rook f7, queen takes, and then queen takes d3. Okay, he's got a hanging bishop. That was the other thing I liked about the move queen takes a3 is his attacking his bishop. I remember that. Okay, so he can't play something like knight f7, but he can play knight takes c6. Okay, that's an idea. The other line it showed, okay, so there's lots of ways for white to play. It seems like they all lead to draws. One interesting way was this move, knight here. Knight to g6 check was recommended at one time when I looked at the computer. Queen h3. I guess the problem is I can avoid a repetition by playing rook f7 here. And now bishop takes g6, attacking that rook. And knight to d8, attacking the queen. Bishop takes f7 check. And now if I take back with the knight, this rook comes in here with devastating effect. Rook to c8 check, so that's not good. So the move is king to f8 and then rook to c8. And it thinks thinks black is slightly better, but it's hard to believe because white has all these actively placed pieces. And knight to e8, queen takes d5. Might continue. Yeah, I mean, black has a queen and 3 pieces. White has a queen, 2 minor pieces, and a rook. So white has more material here, and white is attacking. So it's just hard to believe that black is slightly better here. How does this happen? How is this possible? Queen to b4. Maybe because of the weak back rank, black can generate lots of threats. So g3 or h3, and then knight takes, sorry, not that knight, the other knight takes f7. So I am getting a piece back. So now it's 3 pieces against a rook and a bishop. 3 minor pieces against a rook and a bishop, or 2 knights for a rook, and white has an extra pawn. So anyway, the game could have continued that way if I had played knight c6 first instead of queen d6, but this is just losing. And he plays the check here, I take, takes there. And then I bring in the knight, which maybe was not the most precise move, but better late than never. And the knight g8, I thought I was maybe going to survive this by chasing the queen away. But he has this great move, rook c8, pinning that knight. And now I don't have a whole lot. The computer's recommending bishop f8. So after bishop f8, I guess the knight is now threatening to take the queen. Yeah, this was the other really interesting variation. So this knight was pinned, but with bishop f8 it interrupted that pin, so now the knight's attacking the queen. So bishop f4 counterattacks my queen. And now if I take his bishop, he takes my bishop and it's check. Not yet mate, but this looks pretty good. So queen takes bishop check, knight here, and then you can take this knight and threaten mate. So that's got to be good. So best move here is knight takes f7, taking the queen. Bishop takes d6, taking that queen. And now knight takes d6. You got to take that bishop because this guy was going. And then after rook takes here, you have this rook to defend. And so it's rook and bishop against 2 knights. And black has some extra pawns, but it looks like they're not going anywhere. Looks like white has things well in hand here. You can start mopping up pawns, playing a move like rook d8, chasing this knight away and grabbing this pawn. So anyway, it looks like it's all over there. I played the more exciting move, queen. So here, instead of bishop f8 or knight g8, I played the more exciting move, queen b4, which allows a mate in 5. And the way he played it, yeah, rook d8 check, that's one of the moves. I ran out of time here. I threw in this check, but it doesn't accomplish anything, and now there's a mate in 2. There's just no way to stop the queen from coming to the square f8, and that's checkmate. And I can't even move this pawn because it's pinned. I can take the bishop, but it doesn't help. So anyway, pretty exciting and tactical game. Hope you guys enjoyed that postmortem, and leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again later. Bye.